all this down and take your calls too, but I gotta tell you, President Trump is just so smart, isn't he? He is just so smart. I mean, you know, he didn't overcome all this lawfare without being brilliant, and he just displays it all the time. And what he has done to the Never-Trumpers and the Democrats is just masterful. So I'm going to cover all of that. If you're new, my name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. And we're going to start the podcast in just a moment. To watch all the video and hear the audio and see the images I show, you have to go to my main stream, which is linked in the description of the video. And I just put it in there, and you can call in. I'm putting the number in the live chat. I just put it in there. There you go. Okay. We are going live. Okay, guys. Welcome, 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 everyone. What an exciting day. This is just so exciting. I'm going to start the main stream in just a moment. Give me a second here. Oh, yes. President Trump has just taken everything to an incredibly new level like we've never seen before. All right. Okay. Just give me a minute to get set up here. I'm running a little late because I was having some technical issues. Okay. No. Okay, I am starting the main live stream now, guys, so get ready. Again, if you want to see and hear all the audio and video that I go over, go to the main live stream, which is there's a direct link in the description. Here we go. Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Holy smokes, has President Trump just turned all of Washington upside down in the last couple days? What he's done is amazing. The president just spoke a few moments ago. I'm going to share that with you. And he has dropped something so big, so amazing, so beautiful that these people on the left, they don't even know what has happened yet. They think they do, but they don't. And, you know, for years, the Never-Trumpers, the Democrats, have been saying, why won't Trump release the files? Why won't Trump release the files? Well, he has gone a couple of steps further than anything that they ever thought he would do. I'm going to cover all of that. We will take your calls. And what's going on here for you guys that are the Trump haters, and again, I don't understand why everyone's not on the Trump train. I really mean that. I don't understand that. But those of you that are not on the Trump train, you're in a situation of be careful what you've been wishing for, which is the release of the Epstein files. So just to get you up to speed, and then we'll get you to the very, very latest. Last night, when President Trump landed back in Washington on Air Force One, he had one of his press conferences on the tarmac, and he called on the Republicans in Congress to take a vote and vote to release all of the Epstein files. And the vote is tomorrow. The vote is tomorrow, and it's going to happen. And so all of you that said, why won't he do it? Why won't he do it? He's doing it. So let me play a couple of clips, and then what President Trump has done is amazing and beautiful. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. Here's the president in the Oval Office just a little bit ago. He's working so hard, he's losing his voice. He's going hoarse. He needs to rest, the president, doesn't he? They won't leave him alone. But this person, okay, with that person just, I'll rewind it, that a reporter just blurted out. So tomorrow is the vote in Congress to release all of the Epstein files, and apparently Trump has to sign that. So the reporter said, and you'll sign it? He said, absolutely. Here. Yeah, okay, so that's the first clip. I'll play the second one, then I'm going to get to this new thing that President Trump has done in regards to this, which is beautiful. Here he is. It's the same press conference, taking some questions. Now, this may be the same clip I just played from a different perspective. If it is, I'll move on. Okay, yeah, okay, that's a replay of what I just played from a different angle. So this is it. Be very careful what you wish for, you foolish Democrats, because President Trump last night, late last night, he called for the Republicans to release the Epstein files. Here we are, less than 24 hours later, the Congress announces they're going to take a vote on it tomorrow, and then send it to President Trump to sign. So everything that the United States Congress has in its possession, all of the now I don't know if this pertains to the federal judges or not, we shall see, but Congress is passing, I guess it's a bill, if the president has to sign it, to release all the Epstein files. So this may free up every file there is in the federal government's possession. This is what you've been asking for. All these fake MAGA. Well, I supported Trump. I voted for him twice, but 3 times, 4 times, but he said he released those files, and he didn't. If he would just give me the files. You're getting the Epstein files. Be careful what you wish for. You got them all. They're going to come, and then boom. What are you going to find? Nothing bad about Trump. I'll tell you that. And this blew my mind. I couldn't believe this. I'm putting together, all my show prep for the podcast. I'm reading through the news. I came across this. I couldn't believe. This is an official press release from the White House. I'm going to read through this. This is beautiful. This is winning times infinity. And they released a press statement from the White House. I'm going to read through the whole thing in a moment. But here's the headline. Where is Democrats' transparency on Epstein? Uh-oh. Yeah. This is so... by the way, where are all these Epstein people that have been calling me the last year every day? Where the Epstein? Why you protected Epstein? I get a call from these fake MAGA lady today. I just am so disappointed that he won't release the Epstein files. They're doing it. They're doing it. Where are you now? Under rocks? Under the covers hiding? Certainly not in shame. You have no honor, no integrity. But let's go through this. This is great. This is great. Here's the press release from the White House. This is on the official White House website. Where is Democrats' transparency on Epstein? As President Donald J. Trump said, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. And it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great successes of the Republican Party. So they ask a number of questions here. A couple questions here. Here's the first question that the president's press office is asking. Listen to this. Why haven't Democrats shown the same transparency? And what else are they hiding? And then there's a series of questions here. Listen, here's the first one. Listen to this. White House, official White House press release. This is amazing. This is the most transparencies, and this is the most transparent presidency we've ever had. President Trump has everything going on. We see everything. Why aren't Democrats talking about the fact that Delegate Stacey Plaskett, Democrat from the U.S. Virgin Islands. Now remember, the U.S. Virgin Islands, which I'm going to on our MAGA cruise with many of you, the territories, they have a voice in Congress but no vote, right? You may have heard that. So they don't have House members, they have delegates. She's got a voice, but she can't vote. And even on, the delegates even have committee appointments, but they can't vote. All right, so it says here, why aren't Democrats talking about the fact that Delegate Stacey Plaskett, Democrat, U.S. Virgin Islands, solicited and was given $30,000 from Epstein for the DCCC after he was already a convicted sex offender? Hear that part? After he was already a convicted sex offender. Uh-oh. Or the fact that Plaskett herself accepted maxed out donations from Epstein for her own campaign. Or the fact that the wife of former Democrat governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands told Epstein, we would have a friend in Stacey if he made said donations. Or the fact that Plaskett was literally texting Epstein during a committee hearing. Uh-oh. Pretty bad. Democrats, yeah. The files are coming. The Epstein files are coming. You creeps, you trolls, you've wanted them and they're coming. By the way, if you have some comments on this, certainly your calls are welcome. If you're watching live, the number is pinned in the live chat. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, which, by the way, is available on all podcast platforms. Wherever you get podcasts, just search for The Brian Craig Show, and I'll pop right up. If you want to catch the live version and the video version, go to YouTube or YouTube Music and search for The Brian Craig Show there. Here's the next question. Again, this is the official press release from the Trump White House. Why aren't Democrats talking about the fact that former President Bill Clinton traveled on Epstein's aircraft 26 times? Or the fact that one of Epstein's victims wrote that she saw Clinton on Epstein's island with 2 young women? Uh-oh. Ooh. Or the fact that Clinton's visit to the island was corroborated by one of his former top aides. Oh. Here's the next question. Why aren't Democrats talking about the fact that Democrat so-called journalist Katie Couric, Katie Couric. Why aren't Democrats talking about the fact that Democrat so-called journalist Katie Couric had dinner at Epstein's residence after he was already a convicted sex offender who had served jail time? And remember, Katie Couric, she's got a twofer here. She worked side by side with Matt Lauer, who was doing all that creepy stuff with women in his office at the Today Show that she was next door to, right? Yeah. Katie Couric, maybe on her next podcast, Katie Couric can respond to that. Here's the next question. Why aren't Democrats talking about the fact that Reid Hoffman, billionaire Democrat megadonor, visited Epstein's pedophile island, attended a dinner with him, and even planned to stay in his New York mansion? Uh-oh. Why aren't Democrats talking about the fact that the Democrat National Committee refused to return $32,000 in donations from Epstein? Why aren't Democrats talking about the fact that Michael Wolff encouraged Jeffrey Epstein to blackmail then presidential candidate Donald Trump, insisting the convicted pedophile could generate a debt from him? Oh, boy. It's time for Democrats to answer for their long-standing ties to Epstein. Then we can get back to what matters to the American people. Oh, my goodness. Is this not absolutely amazing? This president is so freaking amazing. I mean, they've been asking for this. And, you know, this morning, what I was talking about on the program, I was telling you guys that President Trump has called their bluff. And not only has he called their bluff, he's taken control of the narrative on the entire Epstein matter. So there's nothing that they can do to get control back of this. You know, what made Trump different when he first came down the escalator, okay, and first started running in his first campaign, what made Trump different from past popular Republicans was a lot of things, but one of them was this. President Trump was the first Republican politician, candidate, official who could control the media narrative. And what I mean by that is, you know, before Trump, Republicans were always responding to the liberal narrative that they would push through the news and everything else, right? And since Donald Trump came down the escalator, when he chooses to be, he sets the narrative. So they've been running after him for years with all this stupidity of the Epstein files. And look what he's done. He's taken it. He's turned it around. He's in control of the narrative. Now they're responding to him. And every time he talks, tens of millions of people are listening. This isn't some press conference on the Capitol steps with 12 people out there. 10 of them are reporters, and one of them's a tourist, and the 12th one is a member of your staff. These are real things that resonate and trend, and tens of millions of people see instantly. He's in charge of the narrative. This is an amazing thing. I got a lot more to cover. I want to hear your thoughts on this. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. This is Brian from San Francisco.
Oh, hold on, Brian. I got to put you on hold because I forgot to connect the phones before I went on the air. So I'm gonna put you on hold. Okay. Go to break. The rest of you on hold, stand by. I'm gonna take a break and connect the phones. Okay. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. We'll be right back.
story, your story in steel. Visit the shop online right now. Back40metalworks.etsy.com. That's WORX. And view the inventory. You will be impressed. Back40metalworks.etsy.com. They turn ideas into steel.
This is George Colony. I'm in the real estate business in Fort Lauderdale, Florida with ties.
Okay, if you're watching with the green wall behind me, if you go to my main stream, you can see and hear all the audio that I'm playing and see the visuals. The link to my main live stream on YouTube is in the description. Oh yeah, Trump's got him.
My number is 954-801-7320. That's my personal cell phone number, and I answer it on the first ring every time. Please give me a call. I'm happy to answer any question that you have. My cell phone number is 954-801-7320.
This holiday season, let's make the season brighter together. Little Light is a family resource center dedicated to strengthening, nourishing, and empowering families, sparking a little light for a bright future. They're providing meals for families in Santa Ana, California, filled with all the holiday favorites that bring people together. Your one-time $35 donation helps make it all possible. But don't wait. Go to littlelightfrc.org and help share the joy, the love, and the light this holiday season. That's littlelightfrc.org. Make sure to share the link on all of your social media so your friends can help too. littlelightfrc.org.
All right, welcome back. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name's Brian Craig. All right, thanks for holding. I'm sorry. What was your name? Where are you calling from again?
This is Brian from Sanford, North
Hey,
Carolina.
Brian. There we go. I got you all hooked up now. What's on your mind, Brian from Sanford?
Hey, buddy, I just want to call you and tell you how much I enjoy your show. And
thank
you're
you.
such a relief for me ever since Rush passed away that I somehow found you on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And you just give me my feel-goods for the day. And I just appreciate all you're doing. Don't know how you put up with all these liberals that call in. But another thing is that I was also born in January of 1971, so you and I are the same age, so I can relate a lot to the things you have going on.
That's true. And, you know, that's an honor, that Rush Limbaugh comparison. You know, Steve Kane, that I work with in the mornings, he was friends with Rush, and they worked together at the same radio station in New York back in 1990. Yeah, so, and Rush,
that's amazing.
I didn't talk about this when Rush was alive, because Rush used to listen to me and Steve. You know, so that was, so it's really nice that you guys say that. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. And this Epstein thing, I hope this gets out and this can get over with. And like you said, we can move on to what's important, man.
Well, you know, it's what the president said. The President Trump's very smart, right? He said no matter what we release, it's never going to be enough. Like with the Kennedy files and MLK files. They're never going to be satisfied.
Oh, yeah.
They'll say they altered, they did this, they did that, you know, but they're going to look like lunatics.
That's right.
All right, appreciate the call.
Absolutely. And if you see me on the chat, you'll see me as fellow deplorable.
Fellow deplorable. You're in Sanford, Florida?
No, I'm in Sanford, North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. Okay,
Yes.
Sanford, Florida is where George
sir.
Zimmerman's from, so I didn't know, maybe you knew him.
Right. No. I'm from Sanford, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. There's
But
a lot
man,
of
great to
Sanfords.
talk to you. Yep, I watch you on YouTube in the morning, so I'm usually not live. So this afternoon, I was listening to your podcast while I'm in the office. I said,
that's
dang
great.
it, I'm calling him.
That's great. Well, thanks so much,
All
Brian.
right, buddy.
All right, take care. Take care.
Thanks.
All right. I appreciate all you guys. Thanks so much. That's a great honor you give me there. If you're on hold, stand by. So, yeah, we know that no matter what they say, no matter what they do, no matter what they release, it's never going to be enough for these lunatics. But they're going to start losing credibility even among their own liberal people. And President Trump, even for the haters, they can hate on him all they want, you know. The majority of the people believe Trump. And most people, certainly MAGA people, but most people in this country don't care about this Epstein stuff, and they see what it is. And I have been one that has not wanted to talk about any of these Epstein things because it was just an endless loop that went around and around. No minds were going to be changed. And now with this betrayal by Marjorie Trader Greene, which inspired President Trump doing just this, right? It's enough. He's, the way I described it this morning, it's like a disinfectant he's spraying. He's disinfecting the news cycle with all of this Epstein nonsense that these loons have been pushing. And it's better to do it now during the holiday season. You're starting to hear my first holiday Christmas commercials. You just heard one during the break, right, with the beautiful Christmas music. And we want to be dealing with this now, not next year, because when we get past the New Year's, we are in the midterm election season. And the Democrats and Never Trumpers, their whole plan, their whole strategy was based around this Epstein stuff. And Trump is disinfected us of that as soon as this is over and everything's out there. All right, let's take some more calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Well, Brian, my name's Anthony. I run a channel called Anti-Blue Corruption. I'm calling from Joplin, Missouri.
All right, Missouri, what's on your mind?
Well, I just kind of want to put this out there for all your listeners. Missouri's going to be having a new voice in the 7th Congressional District next year. I was at the coming out party recently for Scott Fitzpatrick. He's running for re-election in 2026. Mm-hmm. I got to talk to the Attorney General there, Catherine Hanaway. By the way, I was in Miss Hanaway's office.
Well, listen, I don't mind. I mean, all this stuff's good stuff, but it doesn't have anything to do with what I'm discussing here. And I got a lot of important stuff I'm doing.
Well, you're talking about Arctic frost and all that too, right?
Well, no, I haven't really gotten to that, but I'm talking about the breaking Epstein news with the president, you know. So I mean, I kind of want to stay on focus.
I haven't heard about the breaking Epstein news, so I'll probably get back on just watching. And
no, I appreciate it. I'm trying to give more time, but I just don't want to. I don't want to get far off of what I'm doing here because there's a lot of important breaking news we're covering. But call me again sometime. And Fridays is open phones. On Fridays, you guys can call in about any and everything on your mind. Open MAGA Mike Friday.
Sounds good. I'll call you on Friday, Brian.
Okay, take care.
Have a great show.
All right, take care. Thank you so much. Yeah, nice guy, but you know you got to keep a focus on things. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. It's Dr. Knight out of California.
Hey, what's up?
I'm sorry. I just absolutely love it. I'm watching you. I just saw the announcement. Just with that delegate from
Virgin Islands.
The Virgin Islands?
Yes.
She worked for Comey at one point in time.
Oh, did she? I did not know that.
Yeah, she has a very interesting history. I know you're a very busy man, so if you ever want to have fun, like I said, she's very, very interesting. She also ended up going over, she also said in one of her comments that she ended up taking down that President Trump should be assassinated.
Oh, my goodness. She's a terrible person.
She has, like I said,
how'd she not get arrested for that?
I don't know. She has a Wikipedia page. It's in there.
Oh,
she used to be a Republican. Then she switched over to being a Democrat.
Wow.
Interesting thing is that when she went over to the Virgin Islands, she was involved in their economic development. And guess who? Mr. You-Know-Who was part of that whole shindig. And she knew that it was going on as well because everybody in that area saw the airport.
I've been to the Virgin Islands a lot of times on our cruises. We're going to the Virgin Islands in March on our next MAGA cruise. I don't remember if we're going to the U.S. or the British Virgin Islands. They're both nice. But anytime I go to the Virgin Islands, I have my MAGA gear on. They love Trump in the Virgin Islands. I've had nothing but positive feedback from people. She's out of touch with the Virgin Island people that I've encountered.
Well, she's not only is she completely out of touch, but the Virgin Islands, there's not that many airports, right?
No.
So everybody, as far as coming in, because you had to gain access to the island by flying into that airport.
Yep.
So all of those people ended up seeing things, and everybody talks. So, as it filters out, she knew what was going on.
She's a crook.
She got money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. He warned you guys, and you didn't listen to him. And now you're going to end up paying the price because people are going to start digging into your past and finding out all of these connections, and it's just going to be a nightmare for you.
This is really amazing because they've been, how many calls did I get this morning? Oh, I'm a big Trump supporter, voted for him 3 times, 4 times, 6 times, 12 times, but he said he'd release those Epstein files, and I'm just waiting. How many calls have I gotten like that? You know, and now he's doing it, and you know, and where are all these Epstein obsessed creeps? I haven't taken one on the phone yet. They've all been we lost her. She had to go. But it's been radio silence from these Epstein trolls, hasn't it? In fact, it's been radio silence from them for quite a while, the last week or so. But it's gotten worse today. They're afraid of the Epstein files coming out. Well, they are now. I wanted to share this about Kash Patel and his country singer girlfriend. Kash Patel's singer girlfriend given full security detail that includes an elite FBI unit. These anti-Semites have been causing all kinds of problems for Kash Patel's girlfriend. Kash Patel's girlfriend, she's Jewish. They've been saying all kinds of things. She's Mossad and all of this, you know. And she's a country singer, which is kind of an unusual. Is it not unusual to be a country singer and be Jewish? There's not a lot of Jewish country singers. But they've been really stirring things up, and her life is obviously in danger. I got to tell you, though, this is just my take with Kash Patel. And this is just my opinion, okay? He should put a ring on her finger, and they should get married. They could have the president, presidents can marry people. He should put a ring on her finger, marry her, and have the president perform the ceremony, okay? Or he should break up with her. If you are dating someone, this is just my thoughts on people that date, okay, that aren't married, that are dating. And I used to tell this to my friends all the time. And even now, if I have a friend that's dating and we get into the conversation, I might tell them that people don't like to hear this. Unless you're engaged in getting married and have a ring and a date, anyone you're dating, it's a countdown to a breakup. It is not a permanent relationship. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Brian Glenn, I promise you, they're going to have some problems. Okay? It depends on how the president treats him moving forward. All right? Because he's been the front and center first question in every press conference pretty much. Remember, the president allowed Brian Glenn to go back and forth with Zelensky over the clothes. Remember that? Is he still going to allow him to do that? Is he going to phase him out a little bit or freeze him out, so to speak? That'll cause a problem in their relationship, but they're not married. So everything that his girlfriend is going through, if he's the loving boyfriend that he is, he would put a ring on her finger and get married immediately, have the president perform the ceremony, or he'd break up with her. Keep the security, but break up with her and get her away from him so she's no longer in danger here. I don't agree with how he's handling this at all. And I don't think he's thinking too clearly on it. And about the two of them getting married, my guess is she's the one that doesn't want to get married because she's way out of his league in the looks department. I think he probably would even agree with that. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. The things people have been saying about his girlfriend are disgusting. I've not heard her sing. I don't know what the quality of her music is. I'm not a fan of country music. That doesn't mean I don't hear a country song and I was like, oh, that's a nice song, but I just don't listen to country music myself, and I've never heard her sing. So I don't know how big of a country star she is, if she is a country star, or if she's a great singer. But if you're dating someone and you're not married, or you're not engaged and don't have a date, like a serious date, not just put a ring on and have one of these permanent engagements, and the person you're dating is in the danger, their life is being threatened because of you. If you're not going to marry them, you should break up with them if you love them and care about them, because that's the right thing to do. You guys can let me know what you think about that. I mean, that's just me. I think it's a little ridiculous, personally, for people that age to be dating and not be in a relationship. That's just me. But I may have a different opinion than you have on such things. Now, I'm going to take a quick break, and get back from the break. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll take some more calls. I'm also thinking about playing a little bit of the press conference from earlier and a little more detail on the program as well. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, available on all podcast platforms. We'll take a quick break and be back right after this. All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, available on all podcast platforms. Okay, so this betrayal from Marjorie Trader Green. Here's Jamie Raskin. Listen to this nonsense. I didn't recognize him at first because he didn't have the shower cap on his head.
We got room for anybody who wants to
Wow. So just a few weeks ago, they were calling her an anti-Semite with the Jewish space laser, all these things. Now, all of a sudden, they want her in their party. You know, I was going over these stories that have been breaking over the weekend about Marjorie Taylor Greene, that she made all this money on these Paul Pelosi-like stock picks, over 100% profit, all these things. She's made $25 million, it was reported over the weekend, since 2021 in these stock picks, including this very bizarre one with an ICE purchase with this one company I went over this morning. And, you know, you got to wonder, is that what they have on her? But, you know, when I had Laura Loomer on the show, she was on the podcast on Saturday night. If you guys missed that, go back and watch that. And she was, and I asked her, I said, because, you know, she's known about Marjorie Taylor Greene being a traitor for years. And I asked Loomer, I said, hey, I said, when did you first find out? And she was talking about when, you know, Laura Loomer ran for Congress a couple of times, and she was sabotaged by Marjorie Taylor Greene and Kevin McCarthy. She was working for Kevin McCarthy back then. She went through the whole details. You can listen to it. So Kevin McCarthy, is he the one that got her involved in doing these stock trades that have turned into what they've turned into? Something that they hold over her head to get Marjorie Taylor Greene to do their bidding? I don't know. But something's off with this woman. But back to the Epstein files. I mean, this is, you know, this big move. President Trump is so smart. You know, we talk all the time about how President Trump is always 5-10 steps ahead of everybody else. And every time you see him in action, you know that's true. And when he came out yesterday and said, have Congress vote on this and release the Epstein files, this has moved faster than I would even imagine. The vote's tomorrow. Here's one of the Palestinian members of Congress. He may be the only Palestinian in the Senate, Chuck Schumer.
Senator, on that note, just I guess a question that's out there, why wouldn't they have been released the last 4 years when President Biden was in office?
Well, that's the question every American is asking. Not every American, but so many Americans. What the hell is he hiding?
There you go. So I don't know who the he is, but was he talking about Biden hiding something there? It sounds like he might have been. See, they're turning on Biden now, right? They're turning on Biden. And there's a great article in the Washington Examiner. This is a really good article by Byron York. By the way, all the articles and everything that I cover are on my X, Brian Craig Show on X. So if you go to my X, you can get all these articles. Let me take a call or two and drink some water because I'm getting like Trump. I'm talking so much I'm losing my voice. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Brent, as usual, a Democrat in New York State. Let me tell you something. I can talk to you. We're gonna have a civil conversation because you always hanging up on me.
Usually, I am going to talk to you. I am going to attempt.
Supporters hate the Constitution.
Excuse me.
You hate free speech.
I'm going to put you on hold. The reason, even with my voice, I can't speak. I'm choking to death. Hold on. The reason that he hung up. He's the guy, he's a prank caller. He calls in and says, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Democrat. And he doesn't stop. He just says that over and over. And I'm not going to I am open to having discussions with anyone, regardless of their viewpoint. But you're not going to call in and just say, I'm a Democrat over and over and not let me speak. But let me go through this article. This is an amazing article. If the rest of you on hold, stand by. And if you would like to call in and have a discussion, you're certainly welcome, regardless of your thoughts and opinions. The number's pinned in the live chat. Byron York in the Washington Examiner. Here's the headline. They knew Epstein was guilty of trafficking underage girls. They stuck with him anyway, except Trump. This is such a great article. In 2014, the journalist turned advisor, Michael Wolff, wrote an unpublished profile of Jeffrey Epstein. This was a few years after Epstein served a prison sentence for sex trafficking a minor girl. Yeah, Michael, that guy that writes all those Trump-hating books. Epstein gave Wolff, who had once hoped to go into business with the financier, access to his absurdly vast house in Manhattan and his life in it. We have the profile Wolf wrote because he emailed it to Epstein, not the sort of thing most journalists would do, and it was made public in the 2,000-page plus documents House Republicans released last week. The theme of the profile is that many prominent and accomplished people decided to maintain their friendships with Epstein even after an investigation showed he lured a number of underage girls to his house for sex. He then pleaded guilty to one count of solicitation of prostitution and one count of procuring a minor for prostitution. In an infamous sweetheart deal, Epstein received an 18-month sentence that allowed him to come and go freely while spending nights in jail. He got out of jail in 2009, serving 13 months, and moved seamlessly back into his life. To the shock of tabloids, whenever they are reminded of his existence, Wolf wrote. Some things changed, while surprisingly few others dropped him. The Clintons did, an irony of the present tabloid interest in Epstein's old address book with its many Clinton contacts, and his sex offender status has transformed him from libertine playboy to pedophile in tabloid parlance. The article is a long list of people who hung around with post-prison Epstein. These are people who hung out with Epstein after he was a convicted pedophile. Microsoft founder Bill Gates, for whom Epstein has become a key advisor, was helping Epstein deal with his image problems. Mort Zuckerman, the real estate billionaire and owner of the Daily News. PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel, Lawrence Summers, the former Treasury Secretary and president of Harvard University. Ehud Barak, the former Prime Minister of Israel. The Qatari Prime Minister. The lawyer Reed Weingarten. Thorjon Jaglin, the head of the Nobel Peace Prize Committee. Oh boy, a bunch of winners, huh? Kevin Rudd, a former Prime Minister of Australia. A former top executive of Microsoft. A Harvard professor, a Nobel Prize winner, an investment fund manager, owner of the Philadelphia 76ers and New Jersey Devils. A high-ranking official from the Obama White House whose name I am asked not to use, Byron York writes. They all came to Epstein's house in New York. These meetings and this lifestyle have somehow stayed private or secret or apart. Not out of any formal or stated. By the way, all you guys, you keep saying, well, Brian doesn't want to talk about Epstein. You won't talk about Epstein. These MAGA people won't talk about Epstein. Been on the air for more than 3/4 of an hour talking about 99% things involving Epstein. They all came to Epstein's house in New York. These meetings and this lifestyle have somehow stayed private or secret or apart. Not out of any formal or stated restrictions, but because in some sense it would be very hard to explain just what you're doing there with a brazen sex offender, Wolf wrote, and yet to find disgrace in tolerating his tone deafness or mocking attitude toward the zeitgeist, so many come, gladly, willingly, feeling that his invitation is quite an extraordinary privilege. It goes on. I mean, this is it. Given today's political situation, and this is the Washington Examiner article, given today's political situation and the things Wolf has been saying recently, here is something interesting. Out of all the names dropped, one is conspicuously absent. Donald Trump, the billionaire developer, reality TV star, and future president who had a falling out with Epstein around 2004, did not even merit mention as a former friend. Wolf saw fit to name former President Bill Clinton as absent, but Trump, who at that point had not yet entered national politics, was just not there. Some years later, of course, after Trump became president, his adversaries saw Epstein, like they once saw Russia, as an opportunity to bring him down. It goes on and on. It's a very long and detailed article, but that's exactly right. All these liberals were friends with Epstein after he was a convicted pedophile. It's one thing beforehand, you don't know, or somebody makes an accusation, you know the guy, you don't believe it. He has been convicted. He is convicted. And not only are they hanging out with him, they're traveling around with him, advising him and doing business with him. All except the 45th and 47th president of the United States, our favorite president, Donald Trump. And now he's called their bluff. Everything's coming out. And they are, believe me, in a panic right now. Because however much is in or not in the files, because we really don't know, right? You know, the files may not have nearly as much as we would like them to have. However, these evildoers that were hanging around with this creep, or these members of government that have donors who were hanging around with this creep, they know everything that they did or everything they were involved in. And they're terrified that it may be on page 38,963, paragraph 6, about what they did there. They know what they did, and they're afraid that these documents are going to have some proof of it, which could be a transcript, could be a video, could be audio, could be all kinds of things. So there's a lot of panic, and only President Trump is standing up and saying, release these files. Except all these trolls that are usually calling me every day, many of them for years. Well, what about the Epstein file? Well, they're coming out, man. The vote's tomorrow. Thanks to President Trump, he's releasing them, which is what you've been asking him to do. So, you Epstein-obsessed lunatics certainly are welcome to call in and congratulate and thank the president for releasing these files that you wanted him to release. We'll be right back.
On the line, we have Gina. Great. How are you, Brian? I'm doing great, thanks. So you wanted to tell me about your experience.
I can't say enough good things about my experience with Joe Thomas. He's a straight shooter. He tells it like it is. He talks in plain language so that you know, because I didn't know anything about this stuff when I retired. So I walked into his office and immediately I felt comfortable. And I said, look, I know nothing about this. I don't want to lose my shirt. So please guide me in the right direction. I'll be set. And he sure did. And I'm very happy that I went there. And I even got my mother to join too. Now I feel comfortable that I'm set and I don't have to worry about running out of money.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than running out of money before you run out of life, right?
Exactly.
Jupiter Joe Thomas a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online, jupiterjoe.com. All right, Gina, thanks so much.
Thank you, Brian.
Dr. Appleton and his laser weight gain treatment. I think about what my life would be like all the time if I had
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Okay, now I want to touch on this. This Miranda Devine is one of the best journalists out there. Yeah, she really is. She is so good. Her book on Hunter Biden's Laptop from Hell, is, I always recommend the audiobook because, you know, what happened with that book, Laptop from Hell by Miranda Devine, I bought the actual book and I started reading it, and then I had a road trip. So I said, you know what? I got Audible. So I got the book. By the way, the Brian Craig Show podcast is on Audible and all podcast platforms. And so I got it on Audible. And I was listening to it on the drive. It was early in the morning, dark out. It was frightening to hear. It goes through the whole political beginnings of Biden through his first election for the Senate. It scared me so much. I pulled off at a rest plaza on the Florida Turnpike. I did a live stream on YouTube from the car and talked about it at the time. Some of you may have seen it. It is fascinating. You know Biden's corrupt. You have no idea how corrupt he is till you read Miranda Devine's book. It just blew me away. And she has a great opinion article in the New York Post. This is just insane. Here's the headline. Miranda Devine, FBI Secret Service butchered the Thomas Crooks case and invited conspiracies. We deserve the truth. Now, Crooks is the Butler, Pennsylvania shooter. I don't often say his name. The one that shot the president. And this article that Miranda Devine wrote is one of the most amazing articles maybe ever in the history of the New York Post to be in their paper. I'm going to go through it right now. It's scary. And Crooks is in the news, I guess, because Tucker had that documentary piece he did last week. Listen to this. This is Miranda Devine. We are all owed a better explanation from the FBI and Secret Service about the attempted assassination of Donald Trump 16 months ago at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. The president himself remains unsatisfied with the answers he's been given about the circumstances leading to 20-year-old Thomas Crooks climbing on a rooftop with an AR-15 style rifle and firing 8 times at Trump, narrowly missing his head but hitting his ear. And of course, he hit some MAGA people and killed Corey the firefighter. Crooks was shot dead by a Secret Service sniper, but not before he killed the rally goer, Corey, seriously wounded David Dutch and James Copenhaver, who were sitting in the bleachers behind President Trump. There is something, and then Miranda Devine goes on, listen, there is something very wrong with the official story, and that invites conspiracy theories. The president demanded answers months ago. A man was murdered. What is going on? Then FBI Director Chris Wray told Congress after the July 13th, 2024 attack that the Bureau had found nothing in Crooks' online history that pointed to a motive or political ideology. We're finding out now that's complete BS. A week later, Wray's deputy told Congress that comments posted on one of Crooks' social media accounts appears to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes to espouse political violence and are described as extreme in nature. See, the Chris Wray FBI, the Biden FBI, they're trying to portray Crooks as a MAGA guy. Thanks to an enterprising source who uncovered Crooks' hidden digital footprint, we can see that he misled Congress by omission because he left out an entire section of Crooks' online interactions from January to August 2020 when he did an ideological backflip and went from the rabidly pro-Trump to rabidly anti-Trump and then went dark, never seeing the post again. Among the 17 accounts uncovered by our source, Miranda Devine writes, were ones on YouTube, Snapchat, Venmo, Zelle, GroupMe, Discord, Google Play, Quizlet, Chess.com, and Quora. The online interactions from when Crooks was ages 15 to 17 give us a better understanding of his evolution into an assassin and invite more questions about what or who reversed his ideology. Again, this article is in the New York Post today by Miranda Devine, and I posted it on my X, Brian Craig Show on X, guys, with all my other articles and things that I read and everything I talk about on the program and everything I never have time to get to. It's all on my X, Brian Craig Show. The danger Crooks posed was visible for years in public online spaces, says the source. His radicalization, violent rhetoric, and obsession with political violence were all documented under his real name. The threat wasn't hidden. The official narrative claimed he acted alone and without a clear motive, ideology, or digital footprint. Yet the source found reams of information that shows Crooks was not simply some unknowable lone actor. He left a digital trail of violent threats, extremist ideology, and admiration for mass violence. He spoke openly of political assassination, posted under his real name, and was even flagged by other users who mentioned law enforcement in their replies. Despite this, his account remained active for more than 5 years and was only removed the day after he shot the president. None of this online activity was referenced in the final congressional report released in December 24, making this even more troubling, the source said. This is frightening stuff here, guys. It really, truly is. Starting with Crooks' phone number, the source used tools available to private investigators and web archives to uncover the assassin's very visible online persona. Crooks' most prolific activity was on YouTube, with 737 public comments. His account was created on January 14th, 19, suspended on July 14th, 24, the day after the Butler attack. Crooks' trajectory from pro to anti-Trump is evident. He referred to Trump as the literal definition of patriotism in a comment at 1:17 a.m., July 20th, 2019. He also issued several targeted threats against the Democratic congressional representatives in the squad. And he said some things I'm not going to repeat. But in early 2020, Crooks' online behavior flipped 180 degrees, and he became very critical of Trump. Fox News and Republican complaints about mail-in voting. The first time he criticized Trump was on January 23rd, 2020, when he commented on a video of law professor Jonathan Turley talking about Trump's first impeachment. Keep in mind, the only reason we may know about any of this is because of Trump's stupidity, Crooks wrote. He started describing Trump supporters as a cult. How can you people call others sheep? But you are too brainwashed to realize how dumb you are, he wrote in February 2020. I mean, literally, you guys sound like a cult at times. The same day, he described Trump as a racist. Sounds like a pundit on MSNBC, doesn't he? Or that Tiffany Cross panel that they have at night on CNN. Through the summer of 2020, Crooks' online rhetoric became increasingly radical and violent. On October 5th, 2020, he wrote, IMO, the only way to fight the government is with terrorism-style attacks. And then he says some things I'm not going to repeat. Among the 17 accounts uncovered by our source, only one on PayPal was opened under an alias, Rod Swanson. Rod Swanson is a former senior FBI agent who was the chief investigator for the state of Nevada during the Vegas mass shooting of 2017. He also previously served as FBI Director Robert Mueller's protective detail and as a firearms instructor in Pennsylvania. That's crazy. But now we get to this. Now listen to this. You know, this other stuff I share is interesting, and it gives us some background and shows how deep Miranda Devine investigated. Listen to this. His furry fetish. When told of Crooks' online threats, he said there was no way the FBI would not be aware of the teenager. No matter how ridiculous the allegation, somebody is going to knock on somebody's door, says Swanson. He's the FBI agent from the Vegas shooting. If they investigated that kid, there's a record of it. And there's an assessment that some leader made that this was not a threat or it rose to a level and they did something else. He also said that if the FBI had that information, I can't even imagine they would not have reached out to me right away. Given Crooks' pattern of tracking high-profile mass shootings and violent events, the source believes it's possible that he adopted Swanson's name as a joke. Like alleged Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson, Crooks appears to have been interested in furries and exploring gender identity. He described himself... Oh, lost my place. Hold on. He described himself with the pronouns they, them on the platform DeviantArt, which is one of the biggest online hubs for furry art in the furry community. A furry is someone who has an interest in anthropomorphized animal characters, often as a sexual fetish. So they dress up as, I don't know, Barney or something. I don't know what that means. 2 accounts linked to Crook's primary email were found on the website under these different usernames they give, and it goes on and on. He was also friends with Nazis. The reason that I share this about the furry fetish, a lot of people are sharing this today, I'm sure, is because Charlie Kirk's assassins he was involved in the same stuff, the furry fetish. So we have a couple of things that show a pattern here. Both the Trump attempted assassin in Butler and the Charlie Kirk assassin in Utah, both are into this furry fetish. What are the odds of that? How big is this furry fetish cult? Can't be that big. And what are the odds that 2 people involved a little more than a year and a half apart are involved in 2 assassinations of the number 1 and number 2 people in the MAGA movement, the president and Charlie Kirk? Another thing we have is, and we talked about this right after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, both shooters did it in a similar way, right? With a rifle on a roof, pretty much a similar setup in both instances. So the way that they both did their shootings is very much the same, and both of them are involved in a very fringe, freakish, small, perverted sex cult. There's a connection here. What is that connection? We don't know right now. Maybe if Kash Patel wasn't, would get his girlfriend living on some military base and stop worrying about that and stop flying around to his girlfriend on the FBI jet, he could get to the bottom of this. Were they recruited by some deep state person, both of them, in some Discord server or one of these furry friend freak show groups? Or was it somebody that was just a part of these furry freak show weirdos that came up with this idea and sparked it? We don't know. But the styles of the shooting and the assassinations being so similar, the way they carried out their disgusting homicidal acts, and that they're involved in this very small fringe group of sexual perverts, there's two major things that are happening there, on top of the fact that they both are, one's an assassin, one's an attempted assassin. I don't believe in coincidences, not this many and not this far out of nowhere. So something happened here. Something's going on here. And I think most MAGA people believe both of these guys are patsies. Now, patsies, they don't necessarily know that they're a patsy. Probably people like that wouldn't think of themselves as a patsy. But there's too many coincidences in this very fringe organization that he's in, on top of the fact that both assassination, the attempt and the actual assassination of Charlie Kirk, were, it looked like the same person planned it, doesn't it? Yeah, there are a few small differences. But they're similar enough to be more than to set off sirens on their own. Now you add in this furry fetish, something's going on here. If you're new to my program, guys, and you'd like to support my content, become a Patreon supporter. If you become a Patreon supporter, of course, you're supporting my content, but you also get access to things that others don't get. I do a live stream just on Patreon, just for Patreon supporters. And it's a live stream just like I do here on YouTube, except it's a troll-free zone. There's no trolls. It's just us MAGA patriots there. It's just for Patreon supporters. So if you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to the Patreon-only live stream, and it's done on the Patreon platform itself, okay? There's a Patreon website you can pull up on your computer. There's also an app you can download, and I do the live stream on either the website or the app, just like I do on YouTube, but it's a totally troll-free zone, just good MAGA people that are Patreon supporters. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you get access to that. You also get access to commercial-free editions of all of my podcast episodes, like this episode you're listening to right now. And there's also a lot of exclusive content that both my wife and I post to the Patreon page daily that we post nowhere else. So you get all of that. Plus, if you become a top Patreon supporter, you get a live on-air shout-out on each podcast episode by me, and you get your name up on the screen on YouTube. So the names you will hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SFjr, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, and Doris. These are my top Patreon supporters. Thank you for your support. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're listening on, or you can go directly to the website, patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. That's patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. If you're on hold, stand by. I will be back live tomorrow morning around 5:20 in the morning, between 5:20 and 5:30, quarter after, somewhere around there. And if you're on hold, you'll be first in line on tomorrow morning's program. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you next time. Take care.